Hi, my name's Ellen, and my sister called me a roach, said I was crawling around in a house that wasn't mine. They took my name off the deed, right after my husband died, told the neighbors I was losing it. They thought I'd just sit there quiet, cook their dinners, pay their bills, smile at church. But the day I handed her those house keys was the day everything changed. Why did it take me so long to see the truth? I wake up before the sun, like I always do. Not because I have somewhere to be, but because silence has a sound, and I've learned to listen to it. I pour my black coffee, no cream, no sugar. Just like my days lately, bitter, plain, and necessary. My hands still remember the weight of patience, IV bags, and nighttime prayers from the hospital floor. But now, the only thing I carry is this chipped mug and the hush of a house too quiet for its size. Outside on the porch, the breeze stirs the hem of my robe. My old Bible sits next to me, open but unread. Its pages are more memory than scripture now. I rock gently, just enough to keep the swing from creaking. A phrase I once heard on the ward plays in my mind. When you're the strong one, nobody checks if you're okay. That one stuck with me. Today is family breakfast day, 20 years of pancakes, eggs, and forced smiles. A tradition I started when Mari was little and Delphina needed a place to land. It used to feel like love. Lately, it feels like a performance. The gravel crunches. Mari's voice breaks the stillness like a dropped dish. Hey, Mama! Grocery bags dangle from her arms like afterthoughts. Delphina follows behind, sunglasses inside the house like she's somebody. Her laugh is louder than her presence deserves. Still holding on to this house, huh? She tosses as she walks past me, not waiting for a reply. Mari kisses my cheek, then places a folder on the kitchen counter. Just some tax stuff, Mama. Shouldn't take long. I nod, but I don't reach for it. I turn back to the stove. The bacon won't fry itself. By the time the others arrive, cousins, grandkids, tag-along in-laws, the house is full of noise that doesn't quite reach me. They gather around the long table I paid for, under the roof I've held up with 2 jobs and bad knees. I keep flipping pancakes while they laugh over stories I've heard too many times told by people who forget I'm in the room. Delphina starts in, her voice syrup-thick with sarcasm. Remember when Ellen moved in with us and wouldn't leave? Like a little roach that just wouldn't die. The room chuckles, some awkward, some not. I freeze, spatula in hand, then smile. Not a real one, just the kind that keeps the peace. I step outside, sit on the porch swing, and stare at the trees. A roach? In my own home? I think about Mari, how I raised her alone after Walter passed. Delphina, who cried on my couch after her 3rd divorce. I didn't charge her rent. I think about the nephews I bailed out, the bills I paid when they forgot to, and I wonder when exactly I turned into something to be laughed at. The day wears on like bad shoes. Everyone leaves full and empty, their laughter still hanging in my kitchen. When the silence returns, I finally open the folder. It's not tax stuff. It's a property transfer request. My name is nowhere on it. My hand doesn't tremble, but something in me does. I whisper, "Not even a conversation?" I stare at the paper. They want to take the house. The same house I scrubbed clean of mildew after Katrina. The one with my sweat in its walls and my prayers under its floorboards. I remember Walter's funeral, how I signed every document alone. I stood through it all, and now they're trying to erase me with ink and kindness. Evening sets in. I'm back on the porch, fireflies flickering like quiet witnesses. A roach, I say to no one. No, I was the foundation. I close my eyes and see myself younger. 3 jobs, walking through rain with a broken umbrella, making birthdays out of flour and love. I wasn't a pest. I was their damn shelter. You don't swat away the one who built your shelter. I take a long breath, not one of peace, but of clarity. Next time they come, I'll be ready. I poured that coffee like always, but this time, I stirred it with a plan. I woke up even earlier than usual, which is saying something, considering I hadn't really slept. The air in the house felt heavier than before, like it knew what I knew and didn't want to say it out loud. That kind of silence, it presses against your chest. I shuffled into the kitchen, barefoot on the cool tile, and poured my coffee, the old machine sputtering like it had a secret too. The folder was still there, sitting on the counter like it belonged more than I did. I sipped slowly, eyeing it. My hands didn't move, but my mind was loud. Did I even want to open it again? My head replayed yesterday, Delphina calling me a roach, the fake laughs, Mari's soft voice lying through her teeth. Birds chirped outside like it was a regular Tuesday. My fingers twitched. I reached for the papers. I opened to the first page and saw it clearly. Quitclaim deed. My name, Ellen Louise Beaumont, was right there, on the grantor line, but not under grantee. Delphina, Marie. Listed as the sole recipients. No, we talked about this. No initials, no conversation. Tucked between the pages, a yellow sticky note in Mari's handwriting. You always said you'd pass the house down. This just formalizes it. Formalizes it, like erasing me was a clerical task, like I was a line item on a grocery list. My chest didn't burn. My hands didn't shake with fear. What came over me wasn't panic. It was clarity. Pure and cold, like ice water in the veins. So, this is how y'all do family now? I muttered, more to the coffee mug than anything else. I sat down slow, the chair creaking like it too, didn't want to hold the weight of what I'd just read. The kitchen clock ticked louder than it needed to. I wasn't new to betrayal, but this one, it was wrapped in manners, tied with a ribbon of assumption. I thought back to 5 years ago, right after my hip surgery. Delphina came to help, meaning she showed up with a half-burnt casserole and her shoes on my couch. I know every other day she'd say, "This house'll be mine one day anyway." I used to laugh, because I thought she was kidding. Now I see that woman was laying bricks while I handed her the mortar. And Mari, sweet Mari, always the helper. "Mama, don't stress. I'll handle the paperwork for you." Help doesn't come with strings. This came with a noose. It hit me. This wasn't just manipulation. This was planning. They didn't take advantage of my kindness by accident. They counted on it, the way banks count on folks not reading the fine print. I sat still for a while, let the rage settle, not boil, let the betrayal speak in full sentences so I wouldn't miss a word. Then I got up, walked to the hall closet, and pulled out the yellow notepad I kept for grocery lists and reminders. I started writing: water bill, electricity, property taxes, maintenance. I made a list of everything it takes to keep this house standing. You want it? You're gonna feel the weight of it. I reached for my phone and typed out a message to Laverne. Coffee tomorrow? Laverne used to be a paralegal before she retired. Sharp as a tack. Didn't suffer fools, even when married to one for 20 years. She'd know where to start. I walked to my bedroom and opened the drawer with all my scarves. I didn't reach for the soft purple one I usually wore to cover my curls. I grabbed the red one, the one I wore to Walter's funeral, the one that made folks straighten up when I walked in a room. This wasn't a day for blending in. Midday sun poured through the kitchen windows when Mari walked in with a takeout bag. "Hey, Mama, got you some lunch? Catfish from Carter's." I smiled. Even that felt like a performance. "Thanks, baby," I said, setting the folder gently on the table. "I saw what was inside. I've made my notes." She froze mid-step. "It's just a formality, Mama." I cut her off soft but steady. Formality without conversation is just betrayal in a suit. Her eyes searched mine, like she was looking for the old me, the one who said yes before hearing the question. That woman wasn't home. I picked up my coffee, still warm. "Make sure your aunt comes by tomorrow." She blinked, didn't know what to say, so she didn't. I sat back down in my chair, slow and sure, watched her leave. Let's see how brave they are when the roach decides to stop crawling. I woke up before the birds this time. No alarm needed, just that tight pull in my chest telling me this was the day. I moved slow, but my mind was loud, pulled on my Sunday best. Not flashy, just that navy blue dress with the pressed collar and the earrings Walter liked best. Set the dining table like I always did for Easter, plates aligned just right, cloth napkins folded like prayers. If they were going to sit at my table, they'd see the home they tried to take, and they'd see me in it, whole. I reheated the cornbread and greens from yesterday, filled the air with something familiar. I wasn't planning a feast. I was setting a stage. Underneath my planner, I'd tucked away a folder labeled in red ink. Truth. Inside, copies of everything. Deed, text messages, my handwritten notes. Nothing loud, nothing messy, but solid, real. I placed Walter's photo on the mantel. He'd built the porch. I kept the rest standing. If peace must come through fire, I whispered to no one, then so be it. Delphina arrived first, knocking like a stranger. She held a brown paper bag, smile painted on like she'd practiced it in the mirror. Brought sweet tea and that salmon you like, she said, voice sugar-coated. I answered, opening the door wide but not stepping aside. Mari came 10 minutes later, her hug brief and tight. Sorry I'm late. Parking, she said, setting a store-bought pie on the counter. Like either of them remembered how to make anything from scratch. I didn't rush them, let them settle. I poured tea, scooped food, made sure the silence stretched just enough to make them itch. Nobody asked why I'd dressed up, or why the dining table was already set. Mari glanced at the folder, then looked away like it had teeth. Delphina fiddled with her bracelet. Y'all came all this way, I said, smoothing my napkin across my lap. Might as well eat while the truth warms up. We didn't bless the food. I figured we'd need that prayer later. Forks scraped plates. No one touched the cornbread. I let them talk small first. Weather, gas prices, some neighbor's divorce. Then I leaned back, folded my hands on the table like a preacher ready to give the word. Let's talk about what y'all tried to sign behind my back. Mari's fork paused midair. We thought it'd help you. Less stress, you know? Delphina jumped in like she'd been waiting. Yeah, just making it easier. Nothing shady. I didn't blink. That's the thing. You assumed. I reached over and pulled out the folder. Talked to someone this week. A real lawyer. That paper? Void. You can't sign someone's legacy away without their full consent, especially when their name's still on every bill in this house. Mari's lips moved, but no sound came out. And since y'all love paperwork so much, I continued, sliding out a typed page, here's my counter. Starting next month, if you want to inherit anything, you'll be splitting the costs, utilities, repairs, taxes, and the deed. It's getting updated. Nobody owns what they ain't bled for. I let it hang. They could choke on it if they wanted. Delphina snorted. You always been dramatic, Ellen. I didn't rise to it. Instead, I looked around the room. This floor's got my sweat in it. You think it came with the wood? I reminded them. 3 jobs to keep this roof. Walked to work. Paid off that furnace with pennies. Took care of Mama when she forgot her name. Sat alone on holidays y'all didn't show up for. Signed my husband's death certificate. Alone. Mari's eyes welled up, and I saw the crack. She wasn't stone, just soft in the wrong places. I stayed quiet for peace, I said, standing now. But y'all mistook that for permission. I pointed to the front door. This home ain't for leeches. Blood don't excuse rot. Mari wiped her face, voice shaking. You always kept us at arm's length. You act like we strangers, but never once did you ask how we felt. Delphina chimed in, louder. I helped care for Daddy. You weren't the only one grieving. I earned this house. I stared long at both of them. Y'all got memories you use like weapons, but not once have you asked about mine. I took a breath, long and slow. I've been going to therapy, quietly. Didn't think I owed y'all my healing. Mari stepped back, shaking. Why now? Because I forgave y'all before you even knew you hurt me. But forgiveness don't mean foolishness. I picked up Walter's photo and held it to my chest. Next time you come here, I said, walking them to the door, knock like you ain't entitled. Mari hesitated. Delphina grabbed her purse like she'd been insulted. At the threshold, Mari turned. You ain't seen spite yet, Mama. I said nothing, just waited till the door clicked shut, then turned the deadbolt with both hands. Let the silence fill the house again. Let the truth settle in the walls like smoke. Let's see if they still know the difference between a key and permission. I woke early, sunlight not yet fully touching the sky, heavy with yesterday's truth still fizzing under my skin. The kitchen smelled like leftover greens, warmed over, and that smell felt like patience wearing thin. The neighborhood barbecue is today, everyone acting like family is one word, while behind smiles are sharper edges. I almost skipped, but then I thought, I won't disappear just 'cause they wish I would. I mixed the potato salad, my special recipe, the one folks always ask for. As I stirred, I wore the red scarf I grabbed last chapter. It's not just cloth, it's a claim. My phone buzzed, a group chat. Delphina and Mari planning renovations. Remodel the house soon. Their messages flicker on screen like promises or lies. I can't tell yet. But whatever they say, I'm not invisible in my own home. By midday, I arrive at the cookout, North Baton Rouge heat pressing down. Fold-up chairs, gospel music playing low, church flags fluttering. I walk in alone. Fake smiles. Side glances. Cousin Tasha gives me that half hug, eyeing me like she wants to say more than words. Aunt Laverne offers a nod. Delphina laughs too loud. Mari plays polite. Everything polished. They stand by the grill, flip burgers, laugh about traffic. Delphina's voice. You know, some folks pretend to be humble, but forget who really helped build this neighborhood. Light applause. I feel it. Hers meant double-edged. Mari tucks a strand of hair behind her ear around Aunt Laverne. I watch, calm on the outside. But inside, my blood drums. During the prayer before the meal, Delphina takes the mic. Let's celebrate family, y'all. Especially those who've let go of the past so others can move forward. Claps follow. Mari joins. Change is coming. Time to turn old houses into homes again. They talking like I'm not here. I stand, voice steady, lean forward. Sounds like you're remodeling dreams on property that don't belong to you. Silence drops. You got plans, but no permission. Everyone's eyes find mine. Delphina laughs nervously. It's just talk, Mama. I respond softly. Then say it like that. Heat builds. Not the sun, it's something in my chest. I walk to my car during a lull in the chatter. Glove box opens. That worn envelope is there. Appraisal documents, tax papers, legal notices. My hands steady. I call my lawyer, confirm everything is in motion. They want me sidelined. I become visible. I don't cry. I sharpen. Scars don't scream. They sharpen resolve. Let them keep poking. I ain't made of cotton, I think. They expect me to fold, to stay small. I refuse. Then, proof lands. Twist. I learned sisters tried using my social security number in home equity applications. False claims. Deception dressed in whispers. And a group text surfaces. Ellen, the roach that won't leave. Screenshots. Voices from shadows trying to erase me. Now I have her poison built into her own words. I steady myself. Not shocked, just seeing what I knew yet denied. I let the proof burn in my palm, not with heat, but with truth's radiance. I walk back in the cookout crowd. Faces soften or stiffen. I hold the documents close. My breath doesn't shake. They wanted war dressed as family. Now they'll get law dressed as truth. I slide the affidavit on the picnic table, among plates of fried chicken and cornbread. Delphina's eyes flick away. Mari's jaw sets. Even with these people around, I don't need their validation, just their recognition of what's mine by right. I sign, not loudly, quietly, then final. I step back and watch the truth settle in the air like smoke after lightning. I had that dream again. Me outside my own house, nose pressed to the window, watching Mari and Delphina laugh like they'd always belonged, like I was the stranger knocking. I sat on the porch that morning, watering the flower beds I planted when my knees still bent without ache. The hose sputtered as I whispered to myself, "You give and give, till you ain't nothing but soil under they shoes." Later, I dropped off canned goods at the church pantry. Reverend Morris met me at the door. Didn't ask how I was, just looked me in the eye and said, "You been quiet, Miss Ellen. That kind of quiet's usually loud." He wasn't wrong. Driving back, I spotted Delphina's car in my driveway again. She didn't ask, didn't call, just parked there like her name was carved into the bricks. I didn't get out, just sat in the car. Engine running, air conditioning humming over my thoughts. Sometimes, not saying nothing is what keeps the fire under control, I told myself. but I felt that control thinning. Later that evening, I found myself in the back of the hallway closet, digging out an old photo album. Dusty, heavy, pages smelled like time. There they were, my babies. Delphina with jelly on her cheeks, Mari in her ballet tutu. Before the lies, before the signatures on papers they hoped I wouldn't notice. I stared long at a picture of me in my nurse's scrubs, eyes tired but proud. I remember scrubbing hospital floors during night shifts just so Mari could dance. And now she dances around the truth. I pulled out a pen and wrote a letter, not to them, to me, to the woman I used to be. It wasn't long, but it cut deep. You stayed soft too long. I'm waking up for both of us. I didn't mail it, just stuck it on the mirror, something to read every morning. The next day, a letter came in the mail. No return address. I opened it slow. Eviction notice. Addressed to me, signed with a name I recognized, Delphina's boyfriend. A man I once loaned money to when he didn't have enough for a down payment, and now he's trying to evict me with a company that doesn't exist on any registry I checked. They created a fake property firm just to scare me off my own land. They trying to erase me with my own ink, I muttered. I didn't cry. I didn't even shake. I just set a timer on my phone. 72 hours. That's all I was giving them. After that, we ain't talking over plates of cornbread. We're talking through attorneys. I went to the attic, dug through boxes, tax returns, phone bills, receipts from when I bought every pipe, every beam in this house, letters from the bank, notes from my husband before he passed, pictures of family cookouts, baptisms, birthdays, all under this roof. That night, I drove to Miss Leona's house, retired judge, Bible study friend, old enough to not be afraid of anything. She listened, quiet, nodding, sipping sweet tea from a mason jar. Then she said, "You don't need louder words. You need louder paperwork." She handed me a manila folder, told me where to start, what forms to file, what judges to watch out for, how to not just defend, but take back everything. They built their lies in silence, I told her, standing up. I'm building my truth in daylight. By the time I got home, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was rebuilding. Not the house. Me. That night, I knelt beside my bed. I didn't pray for peace. I prayed for focus. Lord, keep my peace sharp and my hands steady, I whispered. I saw flashes in my mind, nights I swallowed insults at the dinner table, days I paid phone bills behind their backs, hours I sat in waiting rooms alone while they posted pictures with friends. I gave you my silence like it was a gift, I said under my breath. Now I'm wrapping up a different kind of present. And I meant it. I no longer wanted an apology. I wanted accountability. I wanted the deed in my name and a courtroom echoing my proof. I gathered everything I found and locked it all in a fireproof box. Birth certificates, signatures, witness statements, every lie backed by truth now. And as I closed the latch on that box, I whispered, "You can't burn down a woman who already walked through fire." Then I picked up my phone, dialed my lawyer. "Time's up," I said. "Let's talk deeds and consequences." I woke up to something I hadn't expected. An envelope slipped under my door. Thin, beige, official-looking. The name stamped on it stirred something I hadn't felt in years. A company I remembered in passing, somewhere between helping a neighbor pay their rent and signing documents I barely read because I trusted the hands passing them to me. I sat on the edge of the bed, stared at the frame holding Walter's photo. My late husband's smile used to steady me. Today, it just brought back the sound of his voice saying, "Always read the fine print, baby." I took my time fixing my coffee. One scoop too much, hands shaking just enough to spill sugar on the counter. The air outside was bright and loud with birds, but the street felt muffled, as if the neighborhood already knew what I was about to learn. I sat at the kitchen table, pulled open the envelope. A document. Neatly typed. Legal language. It claimed I had agreed to surrender partial ownership of the house for tax relief. Signed. By me. Except it wasn't. It was my name, all right, but that wasn't my hand. Mari texted, right on cue. "It's just part of the paperwork, Mama. Standard stuff." Then Delphina chimed in over the church group chat with a message that hit different. Mama just overwhelmed by all the tax talk. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was insulted. My body didn't shake. My voice didn't rise. But something inside twisted. Not rage. No, something quieter, deeper. A kind of knowing. I placed the paper down, breathed, and said to no one, "This ain't about taxes. This about control." That afternoon, I went to the back shed, dusted off a crate marked House, Old Docs. Inside, years of bank statements, receipts, warranty papers, mortgage documents, some yellowed, some torn at the corners. I called Laverne. "Bring your reading glasses and your highlighters," I told her. She arrived with a tote bag full of markers and legal pads. We sat cross-legged on my living room floor, comparing signatures, line by line, matching loops and pressure points, hers steady, mine firmer. The forgery was lazy. It screamed disrespect more than deception. I remembered after Walter passed, my head wasn't clear for months. They slipped papers in front of me then, too. Back then, I thought it was love. Now I see it was strategy. I jotted a note in my journal. They think I'm too old to notice. Then I circled it, twice. The next morning, I sent both girls a message. "Come by for tea. 5 p.m. Bring nothing but your ears." I baked biscuits, sweet and soft, like nothing was wrong. Set the table, lit a candle. They came in chatting like it was Sunday supper. I poured tea slow, placed the plate of biscuits down, then slid the forged document across the table like it was dessert. Mari's voice cracked first. "We thought we were helping, Mama. That's all." "You always said," I cut her off gently. "Help, don't come with missing names." Delphina leaned back, arms crossed. "This is being blown out of proportion. It's probably just a filing mix-up. You know how these companies are." I didn't blink. Misunderstanding means nothing when truth is sitting in your lap. They looked at each other, hoping the other would speak stronger. Neither did. I stood up, walked to the sideboard drawer, pulled out a manila folder of my own. The real deed. My signature, clear, witnessed, filed. The tax receipts, mortgage records, bills paid in my name since before Mari learned to read. I laid it all out. "No company owns this house but me," I said. "Not on paper, not in spirit, and certainly not through forged ink." Delphina stood still like a statue. Mari looked pale, her hand frozen on the rim of her teacup. Outside, a few neighbors on porches quieted their fans. Folks were listening. And I didn't care. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. I took a long breath, gathered the papers, and walked out. As I stepped off the porch, I looked back once, not to see their faces, but to mark the moment. You may have forged paper, I thought to myself, but you can't forge the story I built. I slipped the folder into my purse. Keys in hand, head held steady, I kept walking. I woke before dawn, heart still pounding from last night's confrontation. The house was quiet. Sunlight slipped through the magnolia leaves, painting shadows on walls I built with my own hands. Kitchen where I canned, living room where I prayed, bedrooms where I stitched quilts. I folded laundry Mari left on the chair, her dress, once bright and full of promise, now hanging limp. I touched its fabric, wondering if she saw the weight of the fabric or the past behind it. I whispered out loud, "Your silence has stretched too long." I went to the desk and found the old voice recorder, dusty, half-charged. I cleaned its mic, replaced the batteries. I set it by the window so I could hear everything they said, everything they didn't. Miss Thelma and Laverne waited on the porch swing. The air was heavy with humidity and expectation. Miss Thelma's voice trembled at the edges. She saw the group chat. "Somebody's got to say it," she said. Laverne, sharp, leaned in. "Legal counsel, Ellen." "You've got proof hidden in plain sight." I revealed the folder of truth construction, deed, recordings, appraisal. Miss Thelma offered to witness signatures. Laverne underlined margins. I said against the warm breeze, "This is for truth, and I ain't waiting for their permission." I felt power in that admission. At midweek service, under the hymns, Miss Thelma stood. She recounted what she heard. Delphina bragging at brunch, "We got it locked down." The church hall hushed, eyes flicked to me. Delphina shifted in her seat. Mari bowed her head. I sat 2 pews back, holding my recorder tight in purse. My chest pounded, not from fear, from something older, from fight breathing slow. When the witness speaks, the walls tremble. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with the recorder playing Walter's voicemail, letters stained with tears, check stubs signed in my name, bills I paid so no one else had to worry, not for revenge, for clarity. For truth I could look in the mirror and own. I remembered raising them, Mari, Delphina, believing them, covering mistakes they didn't own. And I felt steel where softness used to be. Tears came, but they drew lines. They did not dissolve me. I decided then I would no longer soften my boundaries. When I invited them to my home for dinner, the table was set like ceremony. Candles, biscuits, tea. I slid out copies of every document, every signature they thought they could hide. I said, "Here are the records. Enjoy your rent now." Silence crushed the room. Disbelief danced in Delphina's eyes. Mari paled. I didn't shout. I didn't throw. I let the paper speak. The facts. They couldn't argue without looking stupid. I handed them the deed, the past, the present. Stood, let the weight of what they did settle in the air between us. At the end, I grabbed my bag. I left. Closed the door behind me with a sound final and soft. Walked out, not because I wanted to escape, but because I needed to claim space. The night air folded around me as I stepped into it. When you close a door on betrayal, the echo lasts longer than any apology. Sunlight broke through my blinds like it had something to say. I sat up in bed, my chest tight, breath shallow but steady. Today wasn't about fear. It was about reckoning. The documents sat neatly packed in a leather folder on the kitchen table. Deed, notarized copies, audio files, and every paper that proved the truth I'd lived and they tried to erase. I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. Hair wrapped, lips firm, eyes sharper than they've been in years. I picked out a dress I hadn't touched in over a decade, burnt red with gold trim, the color of heat, the color of survival, the color of a woman who remembers what she's worth. I walked through each room of the house, fingers tracing walls like scripture. I texted the lawyer. Today's the day everything changes. Dinner was mine to host, mine to fund. Still, that fact alone was louder than any welcome. I made roast chicken, greens, cornbread the way Mama taught me. My best china. Fresh flowers. Nothing half done. I was done letting anything feel half. Mari showed first, holding a casserole like tradition still lived here. Delphina followed, smelling like expensive perfume, eyes darting. They smiled, sat, tried to play normal. The air felt thick. I opened with prayer. Gracious God, bring truth to light, and may no lie sit comfortably at this table. Eyes opened. I saw Delphina glance at the envelope I placed in the center, like centerpiece. I didn't raise my voice, just slid the folder across the table. One copy for each. I told them to open. Inside, the deed they forged. My real signature against the fake one. Audio from voicemail. Screenshots of text messages. Witness statements. Mari's hand shook as she flipped through. Delphina's face darkened like a storm behind her eyes. I read it aloud. You used my name without permission. You erased my name from my own life. Aunt Laverne sat at the far end of the table. Miss Thelma was there too. They weren't just guests, they were witnesses. Delphina tried to speak, lips moving fast. I raised one hand, she stopped. Delphina leaned in. I was just trying to keep it together, Mama. You were tired. You weren't seeing things straight. We thought it was for your good. She looked to Mari for backup. Mari nodded once, slow. It wasn't meant to hurt you, she said. My chair didn't move. My eyes didn't blink. You thought I wouldn't notice. That's the root of it, right? You didn't think I mattered enough to check with, that I was too old to catch it. I let silence stretch. Then I whispered, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Their mouths closed, plates untouched. I opened my folder again and pulled out the court receipt. Filed this last week. County has everything. Public notice runs Monday. Your names are on it. I didn't say it loud. Truth doesn't need to shout. Miss Thelma closed her eyes in prayer. Mari's face crumpled, tears closed but not brave enough to fall. Delphina sat back, folding arms, staring at nothing. Outside, porch lights flickered on down the block. Somewhere, someone laughed. But in this room, the sound was scripture. I stood up, picked up my bag. I didn't break this family. I just stopped pretending it was whole. I walked toward the front door. Delphina jumped up and moved fast, trying to grab the last papers. "You're not taking this to the county," she shouted. I didn't flinch, just closed the folder, walked past her, stepped outside. The door behind me shut with a click and a key twist. I spoke through the wood. "Enjoy your rent alone." I stood on the porch as their voices faded inside. Then the screen door opened behind me. Miss Thelma stepped out. She didn't say nothing, just stood there, shoulder to shoulder. Mari and Delphina came out minutes later. No words. They got in their car and left. Brake lights flashed red across my lawn, then disappeared down the block. The neighborhood dimmed with evening. Porch lights blinked off one by one. Crickets started their hymn. I leaned against the railing, heart steady now. I won what was mine, but peace still walked slowly across the threshold. The birds outside didn't sound like yesterday. Their songs floated softer, not urgent like warning calls, but something else, something close to calm. I sat up and stretched slow, no tightness in my chest. The kind of morning where you don't rush coffee. The light slipping through the curtains wasn't harsh anymore. The shadows in the corners weren't heavy either. I walked the house like I did back when I first moved in, touching the door frames, the walls, the broom still propped near the back door. I stopped at the kitchen counter. That old coffee pot Mari gifted me sat ready. I poured a cup, stood in the quiet. No voices arguing over dinner, no side eyes across the room, no lies sitting at the table, just steam and peace. I took a sip. This house still stands. And so do I. Word traveled fast. Public records are loud in their own way. My name was back on the deed, right where it should have stayed. The forged documents voided, labeled what they always were, false. Truth don't need a parade, but it moves through people. My neighbors started nodding as I passed. Some brought casseroles again like it was Sunday supper. Others just gave a look, a quiet apology. At church, the whispers had shifted. She stood up. She showed up. I didn't need applause, but I heard them. Delphina stopped looking me in the eye. "Mari?" Her face softened some, shame and relief sitting side by side. Miss Thelma caught my hand between hymns and squeezed it. Laverne patted my shoulder on her way out the sanctuary. I didn't cry, didn't need to. A different kind of dignity rose in me, one that didn't have to yell to be seen. The legal clerk knocked on my door that Thursday morning. He handed me the official deed, stamped, certified. My name clean as day, my rights protected. I took it and nodded. No long speech, just nodded. Later that same day, the county notice went up. Those who falsified it would face full prosecution. I didn't have to chase punishment. Truth walked itself right into the sunlight. Delphina came later, knocking like she hadn't burned down what she touched. I looked out the window but didn't answer. Her voice. "Mama, I didn't mean..." I didn't care what she meant anymore, meaning don't fix damage. She stood there, hoping I'd crack the door. I didn't. Mari came next. She didn't knock hard, just stood there a while. "Mama, I'm sorry." I didn't let her in either. I walked to the front window, held up the deed with one hand. Let the whole block see it if they looked. Then I mouthed the words, "Enjoy your rent alone." Sunday service came, and with it, something small but loud. My niece, barely 15, walked in wearing that purple bandana, the one Delphina used to claim as her own. The color had changed meaning now. Reclaimed. It no longer wrapped around manipulation. It sat on youth, on honesty, on something untouched by the rot. I noticed. I smiled. I sat through that service remembering things they tried to bury. Times I fed them and wasn't thanked. Times I was tired and still stayed up sewing torn hems and broken dreams. But I also remembered what didn't break. My heart, my mind, my spirit. I wrote myself a letter later that day. You deserved better. You built your worth. I sealed it, tucked it in the drawer next to my Bible. I drove out to visit his grave, the man I married, the one I trusted before all this mess. I didn't bring tears for him. I brought flowers. I laid them down and whispered thanks, then goodbye. Not to him, but to the weight I carried so long. My tears came after, not from grief, but from release, the kind of crying that rinses you clean. The next week, I planned a small gathering. Nothing big, just fried chicken, potato salad, lemonade in mason jars. Kids ran in the yard. Miss Thelma brought her famous peach cobbler. Laverne wore her Sunday hat, even though it was Saturday. I invited family too, but only the ones who stood with truth, not titles. I didn't organize it to prove anything. I just wanted laughter to live here again. I wanted to hear chairs scrape on porch floors and know it wasn't tension, but community. I told myself, I don't need Delphina or Mari to grovel. I don't even need them to stay. If peace comes, I'll receive it. But I won't beg for it, not ever again. As evening stretched into gold and pink, I found myself back on that same porch. The one they tried to steal from under me. I rocked in the chair that's held 3 generations. The screen door clicked behind me. Someone left it loose again. I didn't get up to fix it. I just sat. They built walls around me, but I found sky.